I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ladies and gentlemen, the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have the advance notice of and to attend the meetings of public bodies in which any business affecting their interest is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provision of this act, the Riverdale Regional Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be publicized by having the date, time, and place thereof sent to the Record, Town News, and/or Star Ledger newspapers, the constituent borough clerks, borough libraries, as well as posting in the school district's principal's offices, faculty rooms, and board office. According to New Jersey Public Law 2001, Chapter 226, smoking of tobacco is strictly prohibited anywhere in public school buildings or anywhere in school grounds, including but not limited to the parking lots, grassy areas, and athletic fields. Violators will be subject to a fine not to exceed $100. Roll call. Claudia?
Here.
Patrick?
Here.
Albert? Patty?
Here.
Tony?
Here.
Barbara?
Here.
Stephanie?
Here.
Alan?
Here.
Joe?
Here.
Also. Matt?
Here.
Robert?
Here.
Robert or Bob?
Robert's fine.
And Kerry?
Here.
So we're all good. Claudia, do you mind reading the mission statement, please?
Yes.
Thank you.
The mission of the Riverdale Regional School District is to provide a safe, student-centered environment in which each student is valued and respected, to challenge each student to his or her potential, to nurture every student's intellectual, social, physical, and emotional growth, to promote a healthy work ethic, a passion for learning, and a respect for oneself and others, to develop responsible citizens for our diverse community and ever-changing world, to continue to involve our community in an active partnership, to provide all students the opportunity to achieve and exceed the Common Core standards and the New Jersey Core Curriculum Content Standards.
Thank you.
Welcome.
At this point, if there are any public comments on the agenda items only, and knowing that you will have an opportunity at the end for any discussion items. Seeing as there are none, we go right into our presentation, Mr. Fletcher?
Yes, please.
Yes, please. So,
It's my pleasure to bring up Mrs. Jacobus with her urn.
It's the platinum crucible.
Actually, wait, let me put this right over here by Bergenfield. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Maybe I'll borrow it for the back, okay?
Oh, wait. I don't know. For the board, for the couple of students who were able to make it, and for our audience outside there, I had originally tried to have a presentation regarding the Chem Olympics and the Chem team in the springtime. And there was miscommunication between me and my office and Mrs. Jacobus. So last year we would have had a whole slew more of our students here, but the communication broke down on my end. If you remember, there was a item or presentation on one of our agendas which I pulled back, and that's because, for lack of a better way of saying it, we blew it in our office. So in order to try and make up for it, Carrie and I had a conversation, and I wanted to at least have an opportunity for you to explain the outstanding achievements that our students did. And we have a couple of our students that Mrs. Jacobus will introduce about it, and our great accomplishment here. It's like, this is better than like the British Open or the Barclays. This is much better than that.
Well, I'd like to start by handing you the score sheet.
Exactly.
There's one for almost every one of you, because I want you to have an idea of what we've done. There are 10 events, you get to pick 6. I think there's 20, 20 some odd teams. I know we saw that. And what's highlighted is what we did. We had 2 teams this year, an A team and a B team. That means I'm in charge of 24 students, plus alternates. So that's somewhere around 32 kids that come to my room and on all different occasions. And we're here till, I've set a limit of 10 o'clock. We have been here till 1 o'clock in the morning, but I don't do that anymore. If you get into first place, you get 15 points. Second place, 14 points. So I've highlighted that we got 2 firsts and 2 seconds, both Team A and Team B. This is highly unusual to have 2 teams of one school come so close. And I'm hoping this year I only have 1 team and I can focus on 12 kids instead of 24 kids. But we did a great job again. You never know what's going to happen, and we won by 5 points. This is the 4th year we have come in first. Last year, the one team came in first and the other team came in 3rd. And then this year we came in 4th, 1 point behind Bergenfield. And I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. And it's a little bit disheartening when we come and people go, oh yeah, it's Riverdale again, it's Riverdale again. But you know what, that's okay. You know, I sat for years waiting and building a team, and now we kind of know how to do it. And one day we're going to trip and fall, because I'm going to let the kids trip and fall. Do you hear that? I'm going to let you trip and fall. There's going to be no tripping and falling. But it is kind of a feat to win so many medals, and Joe Hook has given me permission to retire when all the plaques, because we had like 7 of them this year, hit the ceiling. I'm allowed to retire. We're not getting that close, so you don't have to worry too soon. I'd like to just tell you that some of the events we did are chemical research on colloids, which I know you all know about because you take Pepto-Bismol. And these students do original research, and they have to write a paper up to 10 pages in length with 10 pages of an appendix. Everything has to be American Chemical Society citations, and a group did I think 2 groups did one on acid rain, its effect on either aquatic or land animals. We did chemical research and made our own solar cells from scratch. We also did the web page design. Both teams did it, and it was on chemistry and art, which is close to my heart because when I'm not in a chem lab, I'm in my art studio at home. I'm an internationally exhibited mixed media fiber artist, so I was way happy about that one. And then we excel in building models. So they give you, this year we did molecules from medication from Novartis, a pharmaceutical company. They had a choice of 1 out of 3. They have to do this replica of a model to scale with all this other information you don't need to know about, the specifics, and it's pretty in-depth and picayune, and we also have lab events, and it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of work, and I think it's wonderful for kids. Emily Wiltz, who graduated here 2 years ago, is at Penn State as a chem major, and she walked into general chemistry, and the guy started talking about chemistry Olympics at Penn State. I don't even know how he knew about it because it's a New Jersey Institute of Technology thing. I don't know how many other colleges have anything like this. But I'd like to bring up the 3 students that volunteered to come tonight. I told you I had 24 students. Well, guess where 18 of them are? In college. And I'd just like to recognize them by name. So come stand here. Okay? So the Team A, we miss them terribly, especially Jason Anasini, who's like, very outgoing and happy. Jason Anasini, Katie D'Antoni, Sharon Galperin, Michelle Howe, Alina Kim, Young Kim, Surya Kodeshwaran, Adam Kohane, Young Bin Lee, Dan Ross, Ron Vertzman, and Sabrina Zhao. And I've already heard back from some of these students in college, and they're doing phenomenal. Young Bin Lee text messaged me to tell me his teaching assistant for Chem Lab was George Kim, who graduated here 3 years ago. And I said, well, I wrote his recommendation for the teaching assistantship, so make sure he's doing it right. In Team B, we have Matt Appel. We have Jen Cho, who's graduated. Charlie Lee, who's with the Turtle Man. He's in the Atlantic Science Research, and he's our resident turtle expert. We have David Lowe, who's at Rutgers. Matt Merkovich, who's at
Dayton.
David Lowe?
Dayton.
Oh, Dayton, I know. I was thinking, oh, that's right.
Oh.
Jano Cornell June, who's not here. Jen Stern, over here. Kristen Vogt, who's behind me, whose brother was also on the team. That was very nice. And Henry Wang, who is at NYU, I think, and Ed Yoon, who couldn't be here. So out of the 24, I had 6 possibilities, and 3 could make it today. And I'm very proud of all of them. It's a tremendous amount of work. I have 6 kids coming back this year. So let's see what happens when I look at my AP Chem class and I said, Who wants to spend 100 hours beyond all your work in AP Chem to do some chemistry Olympics? And I always get some volunteer. All right, well, thank you very much for... I have a whole bunch. I didn't even tell you. Jason is at SUNY Binghamton, Katie's at the University of Miami, Sharon Galperin, Jay No, and Alina Kim are at Cornell. Michelle Howe is at, she's not at NYU, where is she?
She's at NYU.
She is
No,
at
she's
NYU?
at NYU. Michelle, our former Michelle, she was our student rep last year.
Young Kim, where's Young Kim? Maybe Rutgers? Surya is at University of Illinois with H.B. Lee. Adams at NYU. Dan Ross is at Maryland. He had a lot of choices. Ron Vertzman's at Rutgers, and Sabrina Zhao is at University of Maryland in a special program that Melanie Smith, who graduated here a couple years ago, got to talk to her and is kind of mentoring because it's a special kind of research program. Jason's in a special dorm with all these research kids, and they guarantee that he's going to publish before he's a sophomore. So the skills they've got in the Chemistry Olympics has certainly helped, and I want to thank all of you for supporting it financially, and we love what we do, mostly. Okay. I love it.
I just want to echo what Carrie says. You know, I have the great fortune of being able to come to visit the school at all kinds of strange hours because I live nearby, and it's not unusual for me to see lights on in one section of the building and lights off in another, and I know that's just Mrs. Jacobus out there driving everybody over the deep end.
But you know, they're doing a lot of the driving, because when I said, well, you know, you don't have to, and they say, oh, yes, we do.
Yes.
And it doesn't matter to me.
Yes.
Just like if you don't need a 5 on the AP Chem, I just love my students, I love what I do, I love research. And, you know, this is like this is a team without like running something.
And I think it's important for us to recognize, you know, athletic teams often get an enormous, how shall I put it, an enormous opportunity to show off. And we have to realize that our academic teams, this group, the academic decathlon team, those people, they put in as much, if not more, time and effort and hours to accomplish these kinds of things than as our athletes do. And I just want to, you know, for everybody's sake, and because we're also on television, Mr. Gallagher works at Bergenfield. He has nothing to do with the other, with the chemistry program, correct? For this class, this event, right? You don't coach this event over at Bergenfield or any of that stuff, right? No. Right.
But he does come to watch.
However, right, where I wanted to go is just to make sure that my colleague who is in Bergenfield and I have a very healthy and friendly rivalry over this. For many years, Bergenfield was the team that came in first, and they were consistently in first. So we would get closer and closer, and I've had a very, as I said, healthy and friendly rivalry with a colleague of mine in Bergenfield. But Mr. Gallagher works there, that's why I was, you know, throwing a little dirt his way. This rivalry continues because we have the opportunity to congratulate each other on both team success. As you can see, Bergenfield does an outstanding job with their team, and they're always 1-2, 1-2-3, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a healthy rivalry, it's a fun rivalry. I'm not trying to be disparaging towards Bergenfield in any way, shape, or form. I want everybody to know that, and the audience out there to know that as well.
Plus, for me, my mom was a teacher at Bergenfield for 34 years, retired at the age of 72, and they asked her not to.
The ties run deep. But congratulations to you and to the team. I'm sorry we didn't get it together last time
okay.
for more kids to get their recognition, but we'll continue to do a better job as we go.
Thank you very much.
That's okay, in the spring, we'll make sure for the one. This coming year when you win again.
Don't put pressure on. You never know. You don't want to give it the evil eye.
Okay. Thank you. That brings us to my favorite part of the meeting, student member reports. Guys, you split it however you want to do.
Sure. So the first thing is obviously the most obvious. We started school last Wednesday, and I think a lot of kids had a very positive experience with their new classes. Okay. And also the day before that, on Tuesday the 2nd, was freshman orientation. So the peer leaders basically walked the freshmen through their classes, showed them how to open their lockers, and just got them like oriented with the new school. And also, one of the upcoming things we have is on September 18th, we have back to school night here at the school.
And then also something that the students really appreciate of the new school email, like the program that's running it. And then we also have the start of the fall sports. And then laptop distribution is at a wrap.
Back in August, the 18th through the 21st, it was the senior class portraits, but the underclassmen pictures are scheduled for September 11th and 12th. And right now, we just found out today that our pep rally is for the fall sports is scheduled for September 24th.
Great.
Are all three of you involved in freshman orientation? I know you were, Matt. You also
Yeah.
were.
Yeah.
So you also then were able to help the students understand what a fire drill is, correct?
We were, yeah.
That was a bit of a,
Yes, we did have a fire. We did have a fire drill there. It was thankfully a false alarm because we had one of our smoke detectors, heat detectors went off.
Anything else, guys? Yeah. Oh, okay, good. President's report, then, geez, you stole some of my thunder. Back to school night for the high school is on the 18th, you said. For the middle school, tomorrow night. I was fortunate enough on school started, so it was Tuesday, was back to school for the teachers. Got to address them, say hello, and welcome them back, and stuck around for Mr. Feldman, our tri-district coordinator's presentation too, which I was very impressed with. I was teasing him afterwards. He said he kind of makes it pretty easy for the teachers and on their personal growth plans and things like that. He makes it very easy for them because they're also students in a way as well. So his presentation was very, very good. That's really it. Welcome back to RDTV as well, because our last meeting you guys weren't here. We weren't in session, so I'm glad to see you guys are back. And that's really it. Other than we will talk about later on in our old business, we'll probably review some of our conversation in regards to our board goals, which we will bring up in old business. So, Patrick?
My report is also short as well, concise. It was a very positive opening in both schools. Of course, we always have unexpected things happen, and we always are prepared for unexpected things. We don't often know what that thing is going to be. We just know something's going to happen. So as an example, when we opened on our September 3rd, Continental Avenue was being paved, so we had some issues with students getting to school and bus routes, et cetera, but I'm happy to report that if that's the only thing that we had to deal with, that was a pretty good opening all around. I've had the good fortune of being able to be in both of the buildings, and our custodians did a wonderful job preparing the facility for it. Our facilities are second to none, both inside and out, and it just makes me beam, if you will, with pride when you can walk through the school on Labor Day weekend and just see it ready for kids to come in the door. And they were here. They came in the door. So I'm happy that went forward. We are, of course, now in the full swing of our athletic season. By the end of this weekend, all our teams will have been in some form of competition. There's still some teams that haven't played their first game yet, but they will. And so far, so good, off to a good start. You saw Mrs. Jacobus here. Some of our academic activities are kicking off as well, but we really start getting into high gear once back to school nights kind of move past us. I would like to just, for everyone's sake, I am asking the Board of Ed to move 2 items forward from the executive agenda. The first one is, unfortunately, we're accepting the resignation of Lauren Coletti, who was a middle school English teacher, effective October 1st. And then secondly, the appointment of Linda McCulca, who would be the replacement for Mrs. Coletti, effective October 1st or sooner, depending on how we can move forward. So
Patrick, we'll do that with the consent?
we can,
Sure.
Yes.
Okay. And that concludes your report?
That concludes my report, thank you.
No
Sorry,
problem.
yes.
I know you just,
I usually
tradition.
say that, right.
Tradition. Budget and finance? Any report? We haven't met, right? We haven't been in a while, okay. Campus facilities.
I'm looking to set up a meeting in the first week of October, prior to our first board meeting, but I'll get the committee together before that.
Okay. And community relations? Nothing to report. Curriculum tri-district?
Yeah, curriculum this evening. We discussed history, K through 12 curriculum. We also discussed research for today, which is the additional class for English for the 7th and 8th graders. We discussed benchmark assessments. What else? We discussed, just briefly, we touched about possibly making a 4th year of either math, history, or science. And that's about it. Oh, I'm sorry, wait, I take that back. There is one big thing that we did talk about. We talked about, and we handed out packets for everybody. Recently in the paper, it's becoming more of like that on college campuses and just around sexual assault, needing to protect yourself. One of the things we talked about during our gold session, Stephanie had mentioned and brought it into curriculum tonight. So Bill is going to go back and speak to the phys ed teachers and possibly start spearheading something with them. So we'll have more information. And Stephanie may want to touch more on this if she wants, because this was her baby. So.
Bill being the tri-district coordinator.
Yes.
For everybody else.
Well,
Just,
yeah, sorry.
just making sure.
I'm thinking, no. So Steph, you want
Do you want to add anything with that?
Well,
Just-
you know, the material you have in there is not intended on any level, just to give some ideas of some recent articles from, I mean, you could, like I said in their meeting, you could click on any state or pretty much any college campus, or, you know, look up, you know, young, you know, sort of, and you can find an article. So this isn't, you know, anything in particular other than these were current and some were local. And then there were materials in there of some programs that people are trying to do. One which is the Academy of College Health Association or something. And so the discussion is there's a lot that goes on in college campuses to inform kids, but wouldn't it be great if our kids came in with some foundational knowledge about how to conduct themselves in bystander behavior, how to defend yourself safely, both in an intellectual way, assessing a situation and removing yourself, and also in a physical way. And there's some things that got touched on. The kids, both Rob and Matt had talked about last time, that there's some part of peer leadership that kind of touches on this issue, and Teen Pep, which is a group of seniors participate in a program that also touches on the issue, but that doesn't cover the entire school. And just as we talk about, you know, sort of scaffolding our learning with every other thing, that I feel like the juniors and seniors could handle a more in-depth approach in this area, both in a classroom setting and in a physical way to learn some defense. So Bill's kind of going to speak to one or two of the PE teachers and get their feedback on ways that they think it could be successfully integrated, both in a classroom setting from an intellectual perspective and from a possible integration of some basic self-defense for the upperclassmen.
Pretty well, got it. Policy and governance?
We haven't met, so
No, okay. Okay, with that then, actually, everything on the agenda right now is consent, so what I'd like to do is the consent agenda on a regular plus the 2 items that Mr. Fletcher is recommending pulling forward from the executive. May I have a motion on that?
I make a motion.
Second?
Second.
Alan? Any comments, discussion on any of the consent agenda items? And I know Carrie, oh, okay, go ahead, Seth.
Does the fee for the ice house, is that reflective of what Westwood is putting in, or this is the full fee and then Westwood gives us
Yes.
a reimbursement to their to their portion.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
And I was just gonna say, again, I mentioned it last meeting or two, if students, if you guys have any comments on any of these items too, feel free. We'll always love your input, so. There's no other discussion on the consent agenda items. Tom, roll call, please.
Claudia?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
Patty?
Yes.
Tony? Yes. Barbara?
Yes.
Stephanie?
Yes.
Alan?
Yes.
And Joe?
Yes. Which brings us to where we kind of, again, always combine, but I think for old business, wanted to mention that at our last meeting too, Alan Nunziata from the New Jersey School Boards Association helped us with our goal setting for both the board and the district. And you guys received an executive session. He was a little tardy in getting us some stuff back, unfortunately, with the memo of summarizing everything. But the goal is, the goal for the goals, is at our next meeting to vote on these as district and board goals. So I thought tonight would be a great opportunity, because you can see on the third page there were the three items, and considering there was a couple of board members who were unable to attend, I think it might be an item that we could discuss now, or if you'd like to wait until the next meeting, when it will be on the agenda for vote. But figure we give everybody an opportunity if they want to bring some things up now in the discussion. So, Steph?
Well, for number 2 under district goals, Pat, were you gonna do a little research on sort of the numbers to figure out, did that happen?
It's in process because people just came back, from school. I was involving other administrators in that.
Okay, so I think that'd be hard to put in a number without knowing.
You will be able to do it in relative short order. It's just
Right.
a matter of, we got this yesterday, so.
Right, because I mean, if we're talking about, if we said 10% and that applies to, 20 kids,
Right.
that might be a very lofty goal, and we might want to,
Right.
back it to 6%. You know what I mean? So.
Well, yeah, and I think, so based on what you're saying there too, is depending upon the administration, if they're able to get us, that the goal is to be able to, at next meeting, be able to vote on these things. But if that information is not there, I think we'd have to wait till the following, because I agree with you. If we're gonna put a 10% number on something and not know what that benchmark is, it'd be a little silly to do. Do laugh at our board goal, the second one, is the board training. I think we're always above, we always try to, we say, for the students to achieve, go above and beyond. I think that's what we need to do as well, and we've already got credits, and we're recognized as a New Jersey School Board's certified board, so we'd like to try to keep that. So I think that was always a good goal. We can't talk about that. Any other old?
Well, and then there's
Is-
number 3,
Oh.
that also is open-ended. It
Right.
says evaluate and report on the impact of freshman double English period on their student achievement as determined by.
I think that's gonna become, the action plan will probably draw those out in a much clearer way, so that you'll get both of those as a part of the communication, the action plan as well, because I think that'll help flesh both sides of it out.
Okay. Now, if I kind of remember a little bit correctly, from the new New Jersey monthly report, is that the name of the magazine?
New Jersey Monthly,
Okay.
yes.
From the new one, our combined SAT did go up? Is that
Yes.
inaccurate, is that an accurate memory on my part?
Yes.
Yes, so is there any, well, I'm sure there is a way, but, was that English-based, was it math-based, or was it just sort of fell out pretty equally?
It was only 3 students, Carrie, Robert, and Matthew, were the reasons that the scores went up so high.
I understand that.
Yeah.
But the 3 of them supported the double English, so.
Wait, say, Carrie? It was supposed to be that?
Well, we thank you, Matt. And Robert for your honesty.
I didn't bring it down far enough.
Okay.
So do you know that, or you don't really know?
I don't.
Okay.
I don't know to answer your question at the moment.
Okay.
Are those current, like those SATs?
They're not your group, they're the.
Last
they're-
year's.
So it's like if you guys took them this fall.
Oh, yeah.
It's that, right, it's that group.
It's the New Jersey report card last, which isn't you.
Okay.
You'll be in this year's. Your class would be this, the one we're reporting on in spring.
Okay.
Well, and again, the board goals, since it is number 3, increase the board membership participation in workshops and all too. I guess I am gonna bring up, because I forgot to mention that during my, president's report. I wanted to go back to the email is, I'm sure everybody probably received an email from Shelley Dansky, who's the president of the Bergen County Association. Is September 15th, there's a joint meeting between the Passaic school boards and the Bergen schools on negotiations. It's at Maggiano's in Hackensack. And then there's also when I say two other events. September 27th is an advanced boardsmanship, which is in Princeton. So if anybody is inclined to do that, that's actually an individual type of thing, not necessarily the entire board. But that would be, again, one of those things towards our board goals of being able to say, hey, look, we've got members of the board who are trying to increase their participation and their professional development within school boards. And the other one, which is, we said workshops all too, is the School Boards Workshop 2014, which is October 28th to 30th. I know Tom mentioned some things to people. I know I've gone in the past. I think everybody else has pretty much gone before. I'm not sure about Barbara if you had, or Anthony. But one thing I do know is, like Stephanie said before, you don't have to go for all 3 days. Is look at the curriculum, find some of the things you want to go, maybe go down for the day. It's always well worth it, and it is like it is a conference, so you can actually talk with other school board members from around the state. It's always a pretty good event.
A lot of swag.
Yeah, swag, and it is kind of fun. We did talk, as you know, it was a comment. Well, hopefully Atlantic City will still be there with some of the casino closings and hotel closings down there, but I don't even remember, where is it actually at, Tom, this year? Workshop, which hotel?
No, it's in the
Center still?
convention center.
Okay, so, at least that'll probably still be there.
Maybe.
So, but if anybody can make any of those events and all too, please do. And the other thing that was mentioned, is I'm gonna try to, unless somebody else has the strong urge to go to delegate assembly. If you do, please let me know, because I'm sorry, somebody's looking at me. Yeah, okay. But yeah, it is, it's in the first week in November, I believe. I don't have the dates, but I can get those, Alan. It is an interesting event, because you have people from all over the state, in the room. It's interesting, the very first time you've ever been there, so, if anybody wants to, we could actually have more than one person go down there, but only one of us votes for the board, and hopefully before then, we can have a discussion on some of the items that will be voted on there, so that, if I go as the representative, so I vote for the entire board, so.
It's like Jeopardy voting, you know, you have a little.
Yeah, you got your little clicker, and, it's sort of like a college, I want to say lecture room, kind of. You get something down at the bottom. It's kind of the seats coming up and all too. It's an interesting event, and they're always the same, because I've been to, I think, 3 or 4 of them. It's always those same people that definitely want to make sure they have their comments heard, whether it's on topic or not. So, but it is an interesting thing. So if anybody wants to go, please let me know. We could probably drive down together. Any old business, new business? So I was, yeah, I was doing the same
Patty
thing,
has
just to see if Patty had anything, because I know we weren't,
Oh,
okay.
you're still, she's,
Taking notes, okay?
okay, I have two things. One, in light of, the chemistry Olympics coming here this evening, we had a discussion in policy, and it is our, policy that, public recognition shall be given to participants in academic or artistic competitions in the same measure as to athletic competitions. And we discussed what exactly does that mean when you win a state championship or when you get to the highest level of something. We know how the athletics gets recognized, and Pat is just ringing a bell, he's ignoring. Pat,
What?
is this ringing a bell?
Yeah.
Yeah, we had that
Okay,
conversation.
So, where is that exactly?
Well, we just opened the school year, so we don't have anything to report, but we've met administratively on a number of occasions. We also understand that part of this is a response to one of our administrators who's extremely diligent about publicizing his area of responsibility and student performance, and I've asked our administration to follow a similar path.
Okay, but I was talking about, like, when it was volleyball, was it volleyball? That one, no, cross country? I mean track, sorry. When they won, a state,
When they won a state championship.
right, they came in front of the board, they were presented
volleyball.
jackets.
Right?
Yes,
Volleyball.
it was volleyball, okay. So there was sort of, remember we were having a discussion as to what do we determine that when sometimes things aren't national and are statewide, and has there been a determination on that?
Well, yeah, you're gonna have to, unlike the NJSIAA, many of the co-curricular activities that our students get involved with do not have a regulatory group that creates this hierarchy. The hierarchy being in athletics, a state championship. And state championship means one thing in one sport, it means another thing in another sport, because there are some sports where they actually have a state champion for the whole school, for the whole state, and there are some other sports where they have multiple state champions based upon different configurations. So one of the struggles that we will always have is, on an academic side, what is the equivalent? And we're going to just, unfortunately, you're gonna just have to kind of rely with us, an administration, on hopefully coming up with, a reasonable presentation when it's due.
So, with that, just to follow up on it, is the community relations, if there was something in that committee too, to talk about how we actually get the word, because we try almost every meeting to recognize something that happens in the school, and obviously you see that other than on RDTV, the multitude of fans that they have, we don't always have a lot of people here, is finding ways so that the community knows that when we're recognizing people, or finding some way to get it. I mean, like you said, in sports, there's a sports section. Some of the other things that go on, it's kind of buried in the paper in the local section and all too. I'd like to see if there's ways that we could actually, publicize that. So maybe if the committee could maybe take a look at that as well, it'd be a good thing. Just a suggestion, one man's thought, so.
Okay. I have one more
Yeah.
policy
Sure.
question. Do you want to go, Pat? You sure? Okay. So, Pat, you and I have had this discussion before, but I'm not sure if it's been a bigger discussion. But and don't misconstrue that I'm picking on marching band, because I'm not. It's just the only entity to illustrate the point. So in the policy for extracurricular, it says the purpose is extracurricular activities shall be those that are sponsored or approved by the board and not offered for credit towards graduation. But marching band is both an extracurricular activity and in the program of studies as accredited class. And I brought it up because I feel like there may be some other extracurricular activities that carry as much weight as far as time, commitment, and what's the word I'm looking for? Academic pursuit. And so.
Such as? One example.
Academic decathlon. And so
Well, yes, but he asked for one example, so,
Overachievers again.
you know, we're not following our policy per se.
Well, no, you've carved out, the board always reserves the right to change their policy, and they've carved out an exemption for marching band, which has been in existence for way before all of us.
All of us, right. So I guess my question would be, what is the process by which an extracurricular activity may be accredited course?
Well, the simplest one is that the teacher that's assigned to it has it as a part of their regular assignment.
Okay.
Mr. O'Reilly, who is our marching band director, one of his assignments in his schedule is marching band. Academic decathlon is not an assignment in someone's schedule because it's paid for as a stipend. There's additional compensation that's provided to the individual for that.
But he gets additional compensation for marching band as well.
Well, I guess that's in recognition. Again, it's the hybrid, but that's the recognition for all of that weekend activity that takes place.
And I said, I'm not picking on marching band.
I know you're not. I'm trying to provide that there's, you know, there was a unique carve out, and I think it was because marching band is scheduled, forgive me, I'm gonna say it 5 days a week, but there's a rotational schedule, blah, 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 blah. But marching band is scheduled 5 days a week as a part of a regular assignment of a duly employed person. Academic decathlon is an extracurricular activity that's provided a stipend afterwards. I think the hybrid that exists with marching band is the schedule is Monday to Friday, but then there's all this other activity which takes place on the weekend and nights, not unlike what would happen in a stipended position that's clean, if you will. Forgive me for saying it. What I mean is non-hybrid. So I think, you know, that would be the initial hurdle as to whether or not you were going to make this a regular assignment as a choice of student's activity. With marching band, it's done in, what's the last period of the day?
Late ninth period.
Ninth period.
Right.
So marching band is 9th or 10th period.
Right.
It can be, there's a 10 period. We've also had 0 period too.
Is that similar to like the band and chorus that's after school?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and we've also had the 0 period. We've had classes that met before the regular class. So if it was part of someone's regular assignment, I think that's the initial hurdle.
Okay.
From a credit standing point of view, there's always options. You have option number 2, which is a different way the state looks at credits. You can, credit part's a little easier than the other part, quite frankly. Giving credit to somebody, it's easier that way, because we have discretion now to do it.
Right. I'm just thinking about, like, you know, when you talk about increasing, I know Patty's talked a lot about STEM being a big thing, and you know, and trying to find ways to maybe offer more electives, more codified and maybe more academic electives of things that we just have as extracurricular activities right now.
Right. There are schools that have some of these things as a part of their.
Right, and I didn't know what the mechanism was, so that's what I'm asking.
Well, it's scheduled, it's a regular schedule.
Okay.
In all instances that I'm aware of where another school has it, it's part of the fabric of the school day.
Yes, I'm just trying to think, what would you do? Because I know Ms. Jacobus mentioned being here very late and all, to how that would actually work.
I don't have an answer.
I don't need to, I mean, it's something we're not gonna solve right now either, but it's just.
Didn't Al tell us we just lay it at Patrick's feet and he's supposed to just figure it all out? Isn't that what he told us last time?
Yes, yes, he did. Actually, no, he said we're supposed to lay it down at his feet, no.
It's not our job to figure it out. It's just to.
so I guess you
What do you,
have-
I'm sorry.
I guess I'm looking at you because I'm like, I don't know what the next step in that might be.
No,
If
he answered
just
the
a-
question, there's,
Right, I'm
we've
looking-
come full circle.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Anybody else, any old or new business? I know. Just,
So I'm gonna defer to Tom on this one. I would like to maybe take a look, or maybe you could ask or give us some information on our fees. I know we had mentioned it a few years ago, the $100 laptop fee.
Student activity fees?
Yes, and the student activity fee. The activity fee went into place a number of years ago when we lost a lot of aid. I'm curious if this, what we're doing with it, and if it's something we should maybe look to reduce a little bit. Okay?
I think that's definitely something that the finance and budget should look at. And I do know that, because I've been on that committee as well too, there's been discussion in that as well, so
I'd
it's
like
just.
to look at both the laptop fee and the activity fee.
We touched upon it briefly for this present budget. It did come up, I remember one of our several meetings, but
It's been, but
consideration.
definitely something to make sure that it's on the,
I know the high school activity fee is $75. What's the middle school? Is it
50. Anybody else? Claudia?
Patrick, one of our board goals that we talked about this year, the second one about launching a strategic planning process.
Mhm.
So I'm throwing it at your feet, because I know it's. Laying it, right, yeah, I'm gonna
Yeah,
throw
'cause
it.
it's nice.
Laying it sounds nicer, I guess. In terms of how we would approach that, how we would go about it, is there, some guidance you can give us with that? Because I would hate for us to pick this goal, get through the school year, and then realize we really didn't do anything about it.
Can I jump in there real quick first before you answer? Because one of the things in this, it says too, that the board also needs to develop a professional development improvement plan for the board goals. What I'll do too is, the attachments, Patrick, we didn't print that out and all too, but that professional development plan, that blank, well, it even says it's blank, can make sure everybody has that. I don't know if it was in that packet, but
It's a
something
template.
they did send us.
It's a template, right.
Template to
Yeah,
create.
just to
Okay.
kind of, sure.
It's a template to create your documents, which you've seen before in some way, shape, or form. Well, I just want to emphasize in your statement, because I remember it, and you did put it down clearly, we'll explore the possibilities. So
Right,
I
explore the
think
possibilities,
as a
right.
part of that action plan, it's going to be to have a greater understanding of what
What
the
it
strategic
entails.
planning process
Exactly.
would entail.
Exactly, so I was just,
Sure.
I'm laying it at your feet, so.
I appreciate that.
You're quite welcome.
I just kicked it right out in front of you that
No
way.
problem. I'm going to wear a hockey goalie outfit the next time I come to the board meeting.
Kick, save, and abuse. Anyone else? All right, that also brings us then to any public comments. That includes you folks behind the cameras, if you don't want to say anything. Students? If there is nothing, then we have a motion, well,
Adjourn
excuse
to
me,
exec.
we have a motion to adjourn to executive session, but when we come out of executive, there will be no decisions made, because we'll have to come back into open session to close. So I have a motion to exec. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Close to executive. That means you guys are off the clock, and we'll come back. I guess, should we wait till they clean up, or do you want to just go in the other room to make it
Go in the
a
other
little
room.
more efficient?
Field trip.
Field trip into the other room, and then we'll come back out into open session.